Ever had one of those conversations you just dread? The ones you put off and put off?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Like where you got to address something kind of sensitive,
Uh-huh.
but you're worried about, maybe damaging the
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah, for sure.
Happens at work, happens in your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
So we're diving into really interesting stuff today
Okay.
by this guy, Dave Osh.
Okay.
He's the CEO of Varlinks, and he helps leaders get better at communicating.
Right.
And he's got this concept
Uh-huh.
called carefrontation.
Carefrontation.
Yeah. So it's like you can kind of guess what it is.
Yeah.
Care and confrontation.
Right. Bringing those two together,
Hmm.
which can be tough.
It can be tough. Yeah. So most of us get stuck in the extremes, right?
Yeah.
We're either too aggressive,
Yeah.
and it can lead to hurt feelings, obviously,
Yeah.
damage the relationship,
Low back.
or we're too indirect,
Right.
and then the message just doesn't land.
Yeah, it gets lost.
Yeah. So
yeah.
how do we do it? How do we actually do carefrontation?
Right. That's the big question. So Osh lays out a framework,
Okay.
7 key steps.
7 steps. Okay.
He gives an example with the CEO talking to his sales team.
Oh, so like classic sales scenario.
Yeah, we got to talk about your numbers kind of thing.
Your numbers are down.
And instead of just focusing on the surface problem, he says we need to go deeper.
Okay.
So step 1 is identifying the root cause
Okay.
and clearly articulating the impact.
Oh, the impact.
Yeah. So for example, in that sales scenario, maybe the issue is not that they're just being lazy.
Right.
Maybe they're focusing too much on these quick transactions instead of building relationships.
Ah, I see. Like long-term relationships with their customers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the impact of that, well, it could be high customer churn
Okay.
or missing out on opportunities to, upsell, cross-sell, all that.
Right. Right. So you're really understanding the why behind the what. Okay. So step 1, you identify the root issue and its impact.
Exactly.
Step
Step
two.
2, illustrate the issue with a specific example.
Okay.
But keep it brief.
Uh-huh.
Make sure it's really relevant.
So no rambling war stories?
No rambling war stories.
Got it.
It just needs to support that main point,
Right.
not become the focus of the conversation.
Right. So it's just a little illustration.
Exactly.
Okay, then what?
Then, this is where it gets interesting. Step 3 is you have to express your genuine feelings.
Your feelings. Like,
Mhm.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, like I'm disappointed or I'm concerned.
I'm worried.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Got it.
frustrated.
And Osh emphasizes,
Eh,
you want to be specific,
okay.
not just vague. He even suggests using something called the feeling wheel.
The feeling wheel. No, I'm picturing a carnival wheel with all these feelings on it,
Yeah.
like exasperated, melancholy, all that.
It might not be as visually exciting,
Okay.
but the idea is to be precise with those emotions. Got it.
It shows the person that you're really engaged.
Right, right.
Not just reading off a script.
Okay. I'm intrigued by this feeling wheel. So you've laid out the issue. You've given a little example, shared your feelings. What's next?
So step 4 is you explain why this issue is so important to you
Right.
and the organization. It's about connecting the dots
Oh, okay.
and explaining what's at stake.
Okay.
So maybe, it's about upholding company values.
Right.
Maybe it's about achieving, strategic goals or creating a positive work environment.
Right. You're giving it context and purpose.
Exactly. So it's not just a random gripe.
It's something you actually care about.
Exactly.
Okay. And then,
And then we get to step 5, and this one might surprise you.
okay.
Osh says you should apologize.
Apologize.
Yeah.
Even if I'm the one bringing up the issue.
Yes. Even if it's just, for not addressing it sooner.
Oh, okay.
Or for any misunderstandings that, might have contributed to the problem.
Right.
It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, totally.
But he says that by apologizing,
Oh, yeah.
you're taking ownership and showing vulnerability,
Oh,
which
wow.
can disarm defensiveness.
Wow, that's a powerful move. So you've apologized. What's next?
Step 6, reiterate the core issue
Okay.
that you want to address.
Yeah.
So we're bringing the focus back to the main point
Okay.
and making sure the conversation doesn't get, sidetracked.
So no tangents.
No tangents, no dredging up old grievances.
Right. Got it. And what's the final step?
The final step is all about ending with an inquiry,
Oh.
a genuine question
Okay.
that invites the other person's perspective.
So you're not just lecturing them.
You're opening a dialogue.
Right.
Yeah.
This whole framework is really making me realize
Yeah.
how much I just bulldoze through those tough conversations. It's almost like you're crafting a pitch.
Yeah.
or for a sensitive topic.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And Ash emphasizes that all 7 steps are essential
Mm-hmm.
and that you should deliver that opening in 60 seconds or less.
60 seconds.
It's about being clear, respectful, setting the stage.
Wow. That's a challenge. I'm sensing a challenge coming on here.
I think you're up to it. Want to put it into action?
Yeah.
Let's imagine you're the CEO from Osh's example.
Okay.
And I'm the sales lead. Let's call him Mark.
Okay. Game on.
All right.
So, Mark, I wanted to talk about...
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
We've laid the groundwork. Now it's time to see Carefrontation in action.
Right.
We'll pick up right where we left off in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So you're the CEO and I'm Mark, your sales lead. Remember, you're going to address that drop in performance, but using the Carefrontation framework. You ready?
Okay. Deep breath. Mark, I wanted to talk about the impact I'm seeing when our customer interactions are treated as transactions instead of opportunities to build those valuable long-term relationships that are so crucial to our success.
As Mark? Well, we've been closing deals, haven't we? Numbers look good to me.
They do. But I was reviewing the notes from your team's recent interaction with Client X, and I noticed the conversation seemed to mostly revolve around contract terms, with very little focus on understanding their long-term goals or how we could, truly partner for mutual benefit.
As Mark, hey, those contract terms are important. We got to make sure we're protecting the company's interests.
I understand, and I really appreciate you being so diligent about that. But honestly, I'm feeling concerned that our core value of building genuine partnerships wasn't reflected in that interaction. It's something I care deeply about.
As Mark concerned, it was just one client interaction.
You're right. It was one interaction, and I apologize if I haven't been clear enough about this being a priority. Building those strong, lasting relationships is at the heart of what we do. It impacts not just our sales numbers today, but our reputation and growth in the long run.
As Mark, I hear ya. But look, we have revenue targets to hit. Sometimes you got to just focus on getting the deal done.
I understand that the pressure is on, but what I'd really like to resolve is this pattern of transactional interactions. I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspective, Mark. How do you think we can better emphasize building those deeper relationships with our clients?
As Mark. Well, I guess we could try.
Hold on. Let's take a step back for a moment. You just flawlessly executed the first 5 steps of Carefrontation, all in under a minute. That was amazing.
It did feel different, didn't it? Even though Mark was being a bit resistant there, I felt like you were able to connect with him on a human level. It wasn't just a lecture, it was a conversation.
I was so focused on remembering all the steps. But it did feel more natural than how I usually handle these conversations. I think the apology especially really helped soften the blow.
Absolutely. It's a small gesture that can make a world of difference. But Carefrontation isn't just about that initial conversation. Osh also emphasizes the importance of what he calls reframing throughout the conversation. Think back to how you responded to Mark when he pushed back. You were naturally reframing his perspective.
You're right. When he said, "We've been closing deals," instead of just saying, "Yes, but,"
Yeah.
and jumping in with my counter-argument, I acknowledged his point, and then I steered the conversation back to the core issue.
Exactly. Reframing is about putting yourself in the other person's shoes and reflecting back what you understand about their perspective, even if you don't fully agree with it. It's about demonstrating that you're truly listening and trying to understand where they're coming from.
So it's not about agreeing, but about understanding. Makes sense. But how do you reframe effectively without sounding like a parrot, just repeating everything they say?
Osh breaks down reframing into 3 key aspects: emotion, importance, and meaning. Each of these helps you connect with the other person on a deeper level.
Okay, tell me more about these 3 aspects. What exactly do they mean? And how do they work in practice?
Well, let's unpack those in the next part of our deep dive. You've already aced the first half of Carefrontation. Now let's explore how to keep that conversation flowing productively through the art of reframing.
Okay, so we've covered the first 5 steps of Carefrontation and started talking about reframing.
Right.
And you mentioned that Osh breaks down reframing into 3 aspects: emotion, importance, and meaning.
Yes.
What exactly do those mean?
So let's imagine you're back in that conversation with Mark.
Okay.
And he's pushing back a little bit. Resistant to changing the sales team's approach.
Okay.
When we talk about reframing emotion, we're acknowledging how he's feeling,
Okay.
even if it's subtle.
Okay.
So instead of just saying, "You seem upset," you might say something like, I'm sensing some frustration about potentially changing a system that you feel has been working well.
Right, so you're not just labeling the emotion, you're really trying to understand it.
Exactly. And remember the feeling wheel.
Yeah, the carnival wheel of feeling.
Oh, it
Yeah.
can be a helpful tool for identifying those specific
Oh,
emotions.
okay. So you're going beyond just happy or sad,
Yeah, you're getting more nuance.
apprehensive, skeptical, all that.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about reframing importance, we're trying to understand why this issue matters to the other person.
Okay.
What are their concerns?
Okay.
What are their priorities? What's at stake for them?
So in Mark's case, maybe he's worried that shifting away from those transactional sales will make it harder to hit their quotas.
Right.
Or maybe he's worried that his team will feel less confident in their abilities.
Exactly. And by acknowledging those concerns, you're showing that you respect his perspective.
Okay.
You're not just trying to steamroll him.
Makes sense. What about meaning? How do you reframe that?
Meaning is all about understanding how the other person is making sense of the situation. What's their narrative?
Oh, okay.
What assumptions are they making? What's their internal logic?
So for Mark, maybe he believes that emphasizing long-term relationships will slow down the sales process,
Right.
or that clients just care about getting the best deal, not necessarily building a relationship.
Exactly. And by reflecting back those beliefs, you're not necessarily agreeing with them. But you're showing Mark that you're trying to see the world through his eyes.
It's like you're saying, I hear you, I see where you're coming from, and I respect your point of view.
Precisely. And Ash emphasizes that this type of deep understanding is crucial for building trust,
Okay.
even when there are disagreements.
It's interesting. Osh also cautions against using the phrase, yes, but, when we're trying to reframe.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because but negates everything that came before it.
Oh,
You basically saying, I wasn't really listening.
okay.
I was just waiting for my turn to talk.
So instead of yes, but, it's better to acknowledge their perspective and then maybe ask a clarifying question or offer a different perspective.
Exactly. It's a subtle shift in language.
Okay.
But it can make a big difference in how your message is received.
This whole concept of carefrontation is really making me rethink how I approach those tough conversations.
Yeah.
It feels much more constructive and respectful than the way I usually handle these things.
It is a powerful shift, isn't it? And the great thing about carefrontation is that it's not just for work situations. You can apply it to any challenging conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So with a colleague, a friend, even a family member.
exactly.
So if we had to boil it all down, what are the key takeaways you think listeners should keep in mind?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is that it is possible to address those difficult issues without being aggressive, or passive-aggressive for that matter.
Clear.
Carefrontation gives us a framework, a way to start those tough conversations with both clarity and empathy. And then reframing helps us maintain that connection and understanding throughout the conversation.
So instead of viewing these conversations as battles to be won, we could approach them as opportunities to connect, learn, and grow, even if we don't always see eye to eye.
Exactly. And that's a much more empowering and ultimately effective way to navigate the challenges that come up in any relationship.
It really is. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive into carefrontation, I hope you'll walk away feeling better equipped to handle those tough conversations with confidence and compassion.
Absolutely.